welcome to another episode where I'm bringing some people in the industry to talk about what they do so you guys can figure out what you want to do. So today I have my friend here, Caio. Hi. I'll let him introduce himself and he can maybe say what your role is and what you do for work.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Tyanna, for this opportunity here to participate in your channel. I think it's really great to be able to help in this opportunity. So thank you for opening the floor to me. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about myself and my work as well. So my name is Caio. I'm 28 years old and I'm from Brazil originally. I was born and raised in Brazil, lived my whole life there. And I got a degree in Brazil. I got a bachelor's in environmental engineering. And then I moved to the US in 2018 to do my master's at the Brand School. So I got a master's in environmental science and management. And then I graduated in September 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. And right now I'm working at SCS Global Services, which is an environmental group. The headquarters is based in Oakland, California, but I'm currently working remotely from home. So yeah, I guess that's the first overview of who I am and what I'm doing.
So can you talk a little bit more about what's your role at SCS and what type of services do they do?
Yes, absolutely. So my current role is an aquaculture technical specialist. I'm sure lots of you are wondering what's aquaculture. So aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms in a controlled environment. So let's say like fish farming and any other type of marine or freshwater species that are raised in a controlled environment for food production. That's called aquaculture, similar to agriculture. And right now I'm working as an auditor. So I'm auditing fish farms throughout the world. And we work with a standard called ASC, which stands for Aquaculture Stewardship Council.
For those people who aren't sure what auditing is, can you explain what that is and what that process looks like in your role?
Yes, so it's interesting. I've learned all about it in the past few years. It was kind of new to me as well. So auditing, what it is. So we have the ASC standard, which has several principles for each species. So let's pick, for example, salmon. So salmon fish farming. They have a standard that is created specifically for salmon fish farming. And then within that standard, there are multiple principles. And inside each principle, there are multiple indicators. So my role is to go out to the field. So I go out to the farm. And then I'm gonna go and start reviewing basically principle by principle and indicator by indicator, making sure the farm is compliant with what the indicator is requiring. And I'll be like reviewing all the documentation, make sure they have everything the standard is asking. And I'll talk and interview some of the employees to make sure they understand what their requirements are, they're following the procedures. And so it's a lot of communicative skills and also language skills because we have clients all over the world. So I have to travel to different places and I have to speak the language of the country that I'm in. So it's really diverse and really interesting job so far.
So would you say like your day-to-day, can you describe what that looks like? It might be kind of crazy since it's probably maybe a little inconsistent, but maybe like what your week looks like or your month looks like.
Absolutely. So it's a good mix of traveling and also staying at home, which I like a lot. It's good. I have, so let's say in a typical month, I would say I would stay home 2 to 3 weeks and then travel 1 to 2 weeks. And then when I'm at home, usually writing the report. So when I go to the farm site and then review everything, we have to write a report. And that report usually takes some time to write down all the findings we found during the audit. So I'm usually working on that when I'm at home. And when I'm not working on that, I'm also doing what we call technical reviews, which is part of the certification process. We have to have like a third person to read the report you wrote and then make sure everything is correct and thorough. So I also have that role here at SES to perform technical reviews. So I'll be reviewing audit reports from other auditors, make sure they are complete and thorough.
No, that's good. And I think that's something that we all see nowadays in our field. Like everyone's reaching out for like a third party certification, third party verifier, which is all really important for everyone who buys stuff. It's always really important to look at the certifications, making sure it's being verified. And what's crazy is that I feel like nowadays there's even companies who make up their own label, which kind of look like third party, but it's not third party.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's not great.
That's not great.
But cool. I think so. You mentioned that there's a lot of language skills and communication skills and reading. Are there any other key skills that you think is important for this type of role? Maybe some hard and soft skills that you can share that you've seen?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tyanna. So I think hard skills is definitely like Microsoft Office. We use it like all the time, especially Excel and Word. Those are two softwares that we have to use all the time, and you have to be really good at it to edit things and add formulas, calculations, and things. So those two, they're definitely important to the job. And then soft skills, there are quite a few involved in this type of job. I can mention a few, like I already said, communication is key. Also teamwork, because you're working with different auditors and also talking with different technical reviewers and different people in your group. Integrity is key for auditors. You have to be always unbiased and really thorough with your work, and you can't be, accepting bribes or anything like that. So integrity is also really key. Willingness to learn is always important, because you're usually encountering situations where you have to adapt and learn new things and deal with clients that might not be happy with some grading you gave them or anything else. So the language skills is really important. The more languages you know, the more places you can travel, the more valuable you are to the company as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because for sustainability and environmental stuff, it's not regional, like it's literally a global issue. And in consulting, or what I've seen in some environmental service companies, is that they always have people that work in offices in different countries. So what are the requirements to become an auditor?
Yeah, so Tyanna, there's quite a few requirements to become a fully qualified ASC auditor. So one of them, you have to have a bachelor's degree in science. So this is one requirement. Then the second one is to have at least 2 years of experience working with aquaculture. So it could be internships, research, working at a farm or at a feed mill where they produce the feed, something related to aquaculture. So you have to have at least 2 years of experience. Then afterwards, you have to do exams for each standard. So let's say you want to audit salmon, you have to go and do the online training and the online exam and be approved for salmon. Then same thing for shrimp and so on, so on.
Wow. Does it cost a lot of money to do that?
Yeah, it's like 600 euros each course. So each species you want to be. And
how many times can you take the test?
I think if you fail, you can take it again. once every 6 months, I think. Could be wrong, but something along those lines. And then once you have that, you have to start doing audit as an observer or a shadow that we call. So you have to go and do audits with a fully qualified auditor. And then you're going to have 25 auditing days as an observer. So it could be like any of the species. It could be salmon, it could be shrimp, it could be tilapia, any of those. But you have to have 25 days observing someone audit, and you're going to be learning and shadowing this auditor and learning from them. Then once you have all those requirements, the final step is you're going to lead an audit. And if you're going to have to lead 2 audits, and someone is going to be watching you, and they're going to give you a grading. And if you get a pass grading, yay, you're approved, and you can start auditing. You're also going to need an ISO training.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you're going to need the lead auditor training. It's like 40-hour training. And you're going to have to get the certificate for that as well. SCS provided me this training, and also all the ASC trainings. So I would say the best way, if you want to get into this, is to get a job in some of the certifying bodies like SCS, and then they're going to be able to sponsor you all the trainings and everything. So it's a much easier way than to do everything on your own.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess it would look better if you did have it before applying, but I think a lot of companies understand that our field is still so new, right? So you can't be certified in everything. Like like for greenhouse gases, I learned it when I was mainly on the job, even though I took a class in it and I wasn't certified, but I was still doing it. So I think that's something that people should be aware of right now too. Like our field really is still new. So
exactly. And for example, aquaculture, there's only like a handful of auditors that are fully qualified right now. So all the certifying houses, they're using all the same auditors. So they want to train new people from scratch to become a fully qualified auditor, because it's good for them too. They can train them how to write the report the way they want, and also teach them how to audit, and everything runs much more smoothly when you train people from scratch instead of getting people with old habits.
So I know you've been at SCS for a while. It's been like a little over a year now. Maybe?
Yeah, a year and a half now, almost. Yeah.
Yay, congrats. So what type of projects have you worked at there that you're really proud of and that really like you're really excited about, and maybe like what you learned through that process?
Recently, last month, one project that was really cool, I went to Hawaii.
What?
And I helped certify the first finfish farm in the US.
Wow.
Which is really cool. They're raising a fish that's called Seriola rivoliana. That's the scientific name. And they call it multiple names here in the US: Campachi, yellowtail, amberjack, and among others. But they were the first ASC certified farm in the US, which is cool. And I was able to go there in March and help them get certified, which was great experience. And I got to know Hawaii, which was my first time as well.
How long do you usually stay on your trips when you're out doing the auditing process?
So it's a lot on the size of the farm, how many cages or how many ponds, and if it's a single site or a multi-site. But the average for a single site would be 2 days on site for the audit. But then also if they combine lots of multi-sites, I was once in Mexico for 25 days in a row, doing like 10 farms throughout 25 days. So this was the longest time I was traveling. But the normal is like four or 5 days in total with travel coming back and forth.
SC. And is this a standard that your company developed, or is this like a standard that's used nationally or globally, or Do
Yeah.
people learn how to use it before they get a job in it?
So it's a international standard, Tyanna. Who created it? It's the World Wildlife Fund, WWF. So they are the scheme owners. They created it. They developed, I think, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And any farm in the world can apply it. As long as you have one of the 13 or 14 species they have the standard developed for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all public. It's very accessible. People can just go into the ASC website and access all the standards and the audit manuals, and everything is super readily available. I can share with you the link so people can go and poke around, see what's the standard like, what are the requirements for each species. It's kind of interesting if you're into this work. It's cool to go and check it out and see how it works. It could be a potential fit for you if you're not sure which areas to go. This is something it's worth checking it out, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have a lot of people who would come and ask me like, oh, how did you learn greenhouse gas accounting? And I'd be like, well, you got to read this really dense, it's really dense, long report, but they share it all there. And it's great that people can just go online and find it and that you don't really have to pay money for it, which is great. So yeah, I think we'll share that link in the description.
Yeah.
And I guess lastly, I'll just ask, like, what advice do you have to share with someone who's starting off in aquaculture space? Any last words of wisdom, and maybe some challenges that they can assume that might come and how they can overcome it?
I think first one is learn as many languages as you can. The more you know, the better opportunities you're gonna have. Aquaculture is a global industry. It's growing globally in a few countries more than others, but if you can communicate well and if you know how to speak many languages, that is going to help you a lot. Getting new contacts, new clients, and just, you know, being up to date with the science and all the reports that are being published out there. I know most of it is in English, but still, like, Spanish is really important. You know, Chinese Mandarin is also going to be really important. It already is important, but in this world, aquaculture world, it's going to be huge. And I think this is one advice. Second advice is to always be proactive. Always be in the lookout for internships and any type of research you can participate or help and engage. It's always important to be up to date in the themes, because there's always new technologies coming in, new species being cultured. So it's good to be aware of everything that's out there. So I'd say be proactive, try to communicate with everyone you can in the industry. It's kind of funny because the aquaculture is so huge, but it's at the same time can be so small. Everyone knows each other in this world. And if you know the key persons, it's really going to help you get jobs and also be more successful.
Yeah, that's helpful. And I said that was the last question, but you did mention to be proactive and make sure you're networking and looking at things in science that's always emerging. Do you have any resources to recommend?
Yeah, there are a couple of aquaculture. There's the Aquaculture Journal, the US Aquaculture Society, and also the World Aquaculture Society. They usually have job listings on those websites of positions related to aquaculture, and also they're always publishing new scientific papers and reports. So it's cool to follow those websites. I can also share in the link so you can add to the description afterwards, Tyanna, to help you click around and explore the agriculture world.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun for anyone who's interested in it. Yeah, thanks for joining me today.
Of course, yeah.
I hope everyone learned something. And where can people find you if they have more questions?
So I'm gonna leave my work email, drop me an email, and we can set up a 15-minute chat to talk about anything you might like. I'm open to questions, and yeah, I hope I can help you find your aquaculture path as well.
Woo. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.